All right, today we're jumping headfirst into the world of modular synthesizers. We're going to build the one component that is absolutely essential for holding everything together, the clock. We'll be looking at a really cool, high-precision DIY module called Pulsar.
But hey, before we get into all the nitty-gritty, the circuits and the code, let me ask you a question. When you're laying down a beat, or a bass line, or some complex sequence, what's the one thing that just has to be perfect?
Yep, it's all about timing. I mean, you can add swing, you can add all sorts of random variations later on, but that foundation, the absolute bedrock of your track, has to be rock solid. It needs to be tight. And that tightness, well, that's exactly what we're after today.
So, this kicks off our quest for that perfect timing. And it's a journey that actually starts with a pretty classic, old-school hardware approach, but as you'll see, it ends up somewhere way more modern, flexible, and honestly, just a lot more powerful.
So the first thought was, let's go old school. Use a crystal oscillator and a whole bunch of integrated circuits to divide the frequency down. And you know what? It worked. The timing was dead on. But, and this is a big but, it was incredibly inflexible. I mean, trying to change the tempo was just a complete nightmare. So yeah, it was time for a major pivot towards a digital, software-driven solution.
And at the very heart of this new digital plan is this tiny but totally mighty microcontroller, the Raspberry Pi Pico, powered by the RP2040 chip. And believe me, this little board has a secret weapon that makes it absolutely perfect for our mission.
Okay, so what is this secret weapon? It's called the PIO, or Programmable I/O. Now, the best way to think about these PIOs is like having a bunch of tiny, super-focused assistants living right there on the chip. Their one and only job is to perform these incredibly precise, timed tasks without ever being bothered by what the main processor cores are doing. They are, quite literally, specialists in perfect timing. And just how precise are we talking here? Get this, 8 nanoseconds. That is the kind of resolution the PIO gives you for controlling things. To put that into perspective, in the time it takes you to just blink your eye, the PIO could have made millions of tiny adjustments. This is the level of crazy accuracy we need for a truly crystal-accurate clock.
So we've got the perfect tool for the job, but now the real question is, how do we actually use it to craft that perfect pulse? Let's dive in and see how a little bit of code can basically tell the PIO to become our own personal, high-precision metronome.
The core logic here is actually surprisingly simple. The PIO just runs 2 loops, one right after the other. The first loop keeps the signal high for a fixed 5 milliseconds. That's our on pulse. Then, the second loop kicks in and keeps the signal low for a variable amount of time. That's our pause. And that variable pause is the real key here, because that's what sets the tempo. It just repeats this cycle over and over and over, creating a totally flawless clock signal.
Now look, we could get totally lost in the numbers here, but what's really important is just the idea behind it. Let's say we're at a standard 120 beats per minute. We know the total time for one tick, and we know our on pulse is a fixed length. So it's just simple subtraction. That tells the PIO exactly how long the off pause needs to be. It then translates that time into a specific number of its internal counter loops, turning an abstract musical idea like BPM into concrete, reliable digital action.
And this right here, this is the secret sauce. This is why this whole thing is so effective. Remember those little PIO assistants we talked about? Because they're working completely independently, nothing else happening on the chip, like reading button presses or updating a display, can ever interfere with their timing. This guarantees an unbelievably stable and precise clock signal. Okay, so a perfectly stable clock is great, but let's be real. A clock that's stuck at just one speed is musically useless. So the next big challenge is, how do we give the musician control over the tempo? From a slow 30 BPM all the way up to a frantic 300.
Well, the solution is this really elegant 3-state system that uses just 2 buttons. A quick tap changes the tempo by 1 BPM. If you hold a button down, the tempo starts changing faster. And if you keep holding it, the rate of change accelerates even more. This makes it super easy to make both fine adjustments and big jumps in tempo quickly and intuitively.
And here's another really clever trick to keep everything performing perfectly. Instead of the main processor constantly asking, is a button pressed yet? Is it pressed now? The system uses interrupts. The buttons literally interrupt the processor only when they're pressed or released. This is just incredibly efficient, and it keeps the main CPU totally free to handle other tasks without getting bogged down.
So, we've gone from theory to code to control logic, and now it's time for the grand finale,
turning all of this digital precision into a physical piece of gear you can actually plug into a synth rack. So, behold the finished pulsar module.
The finished module has everything a musician would need. There's a classic 7-segment display that clearly shows you the current BPM, so you're always in sync. The signal itself is boosted up to the 5-volt standard for modular synths, so it plays nicely with all your other gear. And crucially, it's got 4 buffered output jacks, which means you can send that one ultra-tight clock signal to 4 different modules at the exact same time without any signal loss. And that pretty much brings us to the end. We've seen how this quest for musical tightness led from a sort of clunky, inflexible hardware idea to a really elegant software solution, all of it powered by a chip that costs less than a cup of coffee. It's just a testament to how these modern, accessible tools can empower all of us as creators. Which leaves me with one final question for you. If a $4 chip can be the heart of a precision instrument, what will you build next?